Hello, welcome to 30 Days of IBS Foods. Today, it's not really a food, it's coffee. It's a drink, but people ask me about this all the time. If you've got IBS, you may find coffee is good for your digestion, or you may find it creates havoc. So let's get into a bit about what the benefits are and how it might be affecting your gut. So coffee, as we know, keeps us awake. It can boost your energy. It has also got a lot of other health benefits tied up in the antioxidant compounds. For some people who suffer with fatigue, having a cup of coffee can be really beneficial. It gets you going and it allows you to get on with your day. So don't feel bad if you need 1 or 2 coffees per day. Where it can get very challenging is where people are having multiple coffees, like 7, 8, even like 4 upwards, I would say, could be a concern because it is a stimulant. It can potentially put pressure on your heart over time. It keeps your pulse running a little bit quicker. It wakes us up and it can be a bit too much for some people. Now, people who have coffee in studies show a lower chance of developing type 2 diabetes. It may also protect us against Alzheimer's disease. Coffee, we know, can be helpful in sports performance. So there's lots of benefits and good reasons why coffee is helpful. But let's think about how that impacts on your digestion. When you drink coffee, it can speed up your bowels. It can make you want to go to the toilet, sometimes within minutes. People I work with will find that they drink coffee and then within a minute they need to go to the toilet. Now, the way it does this is through various mechanisms. So coffee can speed up the transit of food through the gut, stimulating the nerves in the digestive system, and that might be down to the caffeine content. There's also something in coffee called chlorogenic acid, and that acts more on the hormonal system to activate your bowels, and that is how it may be triggering the need for a bowel movement very quickly, rather than the coffee getting to the gut and stimulating the nerves there and making you want to go. It's like your nervous system is getting switched on by the presence of this chlorogenic acid. We know that coffee can stimulate gastrin production and the hydrochloric acid in your stomach, and it may open the lower esophageal sphincter. That is the little band that closes around the top of your stomach and closes the esophagus off so that food doesn't come back up. Now, some foods are known to relax that sphincter and let things up. Key ones include alcohol, peppermint, high fatty meals. Some people find coffee gives you heartburn, coffee gives you diarrhea, coffee makes your stomach really acidic. If that is the case, maybe you are better on decaf, or maybe it's those other compounds in the drink that are affecting you. And even if it's had the caffeine removed, it is still going to give you those kind of symptoms. There's mixed research about whether people with IBS should drink coffee or not. So I think it very much depends on how it affects you and what your response to it is. In some studies, they've shown that people who drink coffee weekly or more frequently than that had greater odds of getting IBS than people who never drank coffee. And the people who drank the most coffee had a bigger risk. So people who had more than 100 milligrams of caffeine per day had 47% greater odds of developing IBS compared to those who drank the least. But other studies have shown the complete opposite, that a decreased risk is there in people who drink coffee. And this was for instant or ground coffee, which is interesting because some of the antioxidant benefits are higher in ground coffee rather than the freeze-ground coffee. In this study, people who drank coffee were 16% less likely to develop IBS than people who drank no coffee. And this was over 7,000 people when they tracked them over 12 years. So it's quite a big data set. And it was a clinically significant finding. Drinking coffee may also help your gut microbiome, and there have been beneficial improvements seen in people who regularly have 1 to 2 cups of coffee, and that may be down to the polyphenol count. It's got some great antioxidant-rich compounds that your gut bacteria like, and that may be aiding your digestion long term. So should you drink it, and how should you drink it if you do? Well, if you're prone to diarrhea and you have frequent trips to the bathroom with frequent stools that are quite loose, coffee might be making your symptoms worse. One study showed that people can get an urgency even in 4 minutes after having a cup of coffee, and it's much worse if you have IBS. However, if you have constipation and you're struggling to open your bowels, then coffee might be a good trigger to get things moving. The things we have to take into account when we're adding coffee to your diet or thinking about whether it's good for you or not is the time of day you're drinking it and how much. If you just have 1 cup of coffee in the morning, then it's probably not going to affect your sleep at night. If you're still having a cup of coffee at 4 o'clock, then the caffeine is very likely to be in your body affecting your brain when we want to go to sleep. The way that coffee keeps us awake is it stops adenosine. The more tired we get, the more activity we do, the more thinking, just your kidneys and liver and everything are processing, and you're breathing, you are burning up fuel inside your cells. You're taking higher levels of adenosine throughout the day. This builds up and it's called a sleep pressure. When you have a cup of coffee, it blocks adenosine from acting on your brain to tell your brain that you are tired. So it makes you feel more awake and it stops those feelings of tiredness. So if you were having a coffee at 4, it's very likely that at 10 p.m, there's half that amount of caffeine floating around in your bloodstream, stopping you from getting to sleep or from going into a deep, proper good sleep. So with coffee, we want to try and make sure that if you find it's helpful, it keeps you awake, it's completely okay to have. Try to keep it to 1 to 2 cups a day before lunch. Otherwise, it might be affecting your sleep. The half-life of coffee can vary. Obviously, that 6 hours is not relevant to every individual. So you might find you can have a cup of coffee before bed and sleep really well. But also people find if you have a coffee at 2 in the afternoon, you can't sleep. And I fall into that bracket. If I have a coffee after lunch, I will find it very, very hard to sleep that night. So that is coffee. I hope that's given you a little idea about how you can incorporate it if you want to. Now, obviously, caffeine is very addictive, and so it's so hard to give it up. If you are someone who's having 5 coffees a day, then please try to cut it down slowly. Don't just go cold turkey, because you get a withdrawal headache, and that can be anything from feel shaky, you can feel very, very unwell. So don't go cold turkey on it. Your brain will not thank you. But if you want to cut down, try to go bit by bit, slowly. You can try alternative lower caffeine drinks such as tea or green tea as an alternative, or maybe making it half decaf, half caffeinated to ease yourself off that reliance. And I think there's a good evidence base that says a couple of cups of coffee are actually healthy for us and very good. So join me tomorrow for another 30 days of IBS Foods.